Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the map called Sariola. It is a Finnish map. It's a 4x4 kilometer, which means it's a 4x map, so it is essentially 4 times the size of a normal map. Basically meaning a normal map would fit into this corner here, another one would fit in this bottom right corner, and then the bottom left and the top right. So since that big lake there, it's really only 3 regular maps, but it is quite large, apparently. It says there are 307 fields with varying shapes and sizes, and most can be combined into larger fields. There are 24 sell points, including production chains. There's room for new production points, as well as new options, such as making firewood. It supports all features of the Farming Simulator 22 base game, including precision farming. You can start from one of the 3 pre-made farms, or start completely from scratch if you so choose. The weather corresponds to the conditions in Finland. During the snow or winter there, it is time to carefully plan the upcoming growing season. Choose the right plants for the short growing season in the Nordics, including new species, rye and broad beans. So it looks like there's 2 new plant types, as well as some custom Finnish license plates. And most of the building and decorations are made for this map specifically. That's spelled incorrectly. It should be a C there instead of an S, but who's counting? To match the Finnish style, and so much more. Alright, sweet. Well, I'm going to install this and we will get playing here in a moment. And here we are, where you spawn in on the map. Right by a passenger train, it looks like. I doubt you can get on it, but it's a nice touch. Got the electrical poles for the train to go. Looks like we start off somewhere in town. We got like a parking lot right here. Some bikes. That's cool. They got a little shade cover for the bikes to keep them dry from rain. Some sort of a timing sheet, probably for the trains, I would imagine. And some sort of a sawmill over here as well. I like the broken twig texture. That's pretty cool. All right. Wow, those are a lot of fields. Okay, let's see what we start with. Got the Deutz-Fahr harvester, classic old pickup. Massey Ferguson, the Valtra. Yeah, so pretty standard starting farm stuff. This is similar to what you would get in like a Elm Creek. Oh no, Elm Creek had the John Deeres. The French map. Base game. I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm not even going to try. Let's see if we can go inside. You can? Okay, so we can go inside the house. Can we open the doors? Nope. Alright, let me just come... Wow, that was a loud slam. Just a standard sleep trigger. Man, that's loud. That's funny, I've never heard a door slam in Farming Simulator. Let's check and see what kind of fields we got. Looks like we just got 2. Is there anything else we own? Nope. Alright, we'll check pricing too. 400 grand. About $1 million, a little over $1 million for those big forestry plots. Looks like the biggest field would be 28 or 57, one of those 2. Yeah, so all the fields are under 500,000. That one's... Come on now. This is 2 fields and a grassland for $1 million, but yeah, not terribly priced. Let's just go and have a look and see what the scale of the fields are. They look pretty small on the map, and they are pretty small here. Not as small as you'd get starting on like Elm Creek. Those fields are tiny, but in the scale of the map, they're pretty small, and they don't look tiny. So, as the PDA said, you can plow these together to make a larger field if you so desire. As you can see, there's just a little strip of grass there, so nothing too major. And let's see, that is a custom growth calendar, so canola can be planted a ton. Anytime from April to August, basically. And rye and broad bean as well. There's the growth calendar for them down at the bottom. Let's see if double cropping is possible. Double cropping is not possible. Unless you can plant canola in August and it's ready in October. Because in that case, you plant your canola in August, it's ready to harvest in October. No, that wouldn't work. I was trying to work it out in my head and it doesn't appear to be possible. Let's see if we start off with any pens. We do not. No animal pens. So we've got a starting, they said something about 3 different starting farms. It looks like there's one there. One down here. Is that not for sale? Nope, that's not for sale. Never mind. I am not sure where the other 2 farms are. Can these grasslands over here be purchased? Nope. Interesting. Let's check out what other equipment you start with. We got a Rudolph tipper trailer with 18,500 liter capacity, a little 3-furrow plow, a tiny horse cultivator, the smallest seeder in the game. Interestingly enough, we do start with the Amazon fertilizer spreader, which has got quite a big reach, 42 meters, but it can't do lime, so if you're wanting to do that, you'll have to buy something else. Got a front loader and a bucket, so pretty limited stuff, to be honest, starting out with, so. In fact, I'm a little surprised they start you off with such small equipment, you know, like 2 meters, 3 meters, 1.2 meters, when it's a 4x map, and then the fields aren't tiny, like, I mean, it'd probably take you quite a while to do this starting field without, yeah, a bigger piece of equipment. If you're just using the standard starting equipment. Looks like we got a little, oh, that's interesting. I like that. It'd probably be difficult, but you got to back your trailer up in here, dump it in this little grate, and then if you want to get it out, it's back here. I wonder what kind of capacity it's got. Whoops. Let's see if we can be silos. I don't have any mods in this map, so whatever is here, it just comes with it. Is it this one? Yep, it's this one. So 800,000 liters. And you can also get a bigger one with about double the capacity. Whoa. It's got a little ramp. So yeah, you can't really place that very easy because it's got to be raised up on the terrain, as you can see there. Interesting. Very interesting. Alright, well, it's not too much going on here on the starting farm. We got some trees. Doesn't really look like there's any space to put any buildings or anything unless you clear the trees, of course. Nice looking vegetation though. The PDA didn't say anything about custom textures. Yeah, that looks standard, so I am going to see what the textures for rye and the broad bean is. So I suppose I will rent a seeder. Let's see, you do plant both of those with a seeder. Can any planters do? The planters can do them as well, and good to know. The planters can do the broad bean. Sorry, they can't do the rye. And not all of the planters, only some of them. Because the Kverneland can't do broad bean. Looks like that's the only one that can't. Alright, so we're just going to rent, let's just do the Lemkin, something solid, it's not going to take much time. And I'll have to get a tractor as well, because my tractors are too small. What should I go with? I kind of want to do Deutz Fahr. Let's just keep it standard. can change the color, right? Go with the Java green, matte green. Ooh, that looks mean. Let's do that. Oh yeah, this is looking pretty good sized. Let's do our standard check. If you haven't seen any other of my first looks, I lease large equipment over and over again to see how much space you start with in the map. Let's do combine headers. We'll just do like this one. Alright. Okay, there we're blocked, so pretty solid amount of space. Obviously these spawn in width-wise instead of length-wise, so I mean, I will just see if you can get anything else on there. And will that spawn off on the end? Okay, so it doesn't look like it's very deep in the sense that you can't get like 2 rows of things spawning in, but it is pretty good width. I mean, we got 4 combine headers wide. So not as big as some of the other ones I've seen recently, but still pretty solid nonetheless. Let's just get this seeder hooked up. And my Big Flats, Texas playthrough had a ton of things to look at. This map doesn't really have quite as much, so it's probably not going to take near as long to get through, but that is okay. Some maps just don't have as much to offer. Right. I believe I can plant rye right now. Yep. But I can't do broad beans, so I'll have to just lease a planter to do that. Not enough space. Alright, let's go plant some rye. Oh, I got the bag stuck on me. I'm just going to turn off the growth calendar. I'll just do that right now. Just so we can plant these things real easy. Seasonal growth. Off. Okay. Looks like the store is pretty close to your starting farm. If you can see on the minimap, I know it's pretty busy, but we're sort of left of center and up of center a little bit. And our starting farm is just up of center a little bit more than we are, so just a quick little jaunt and you're already right there. I mean, that's our farmyard that we can see right there, those red buildings and the trees to the left. So as you can see from the fields, they are pretty good size, nothing huge, nothing like the Texas maps, or the Texas fields, those are huge. But nothing terrible either. You're going to get some solid yield off of those fields, especially if you've got all your yield bonuses applied. I'm not sure if I'll even be able to get to my field from here. Looks like on the map we can, so it should be no problem at all. Yeah, I'm not gonna plant with the smallest planter in the game. I'm sorry if you wanted me to. I'm not doing that. Let's just get this big boy lined up and plant her down. Just get in here nice and quick and get this stuff planted, and then we'll be moving on towards, we got to lease a planter to plant some broad beans, and we'll just look at them through every growth stage just to see what the textures look like. And then after that, all that's left is to check out the production chains, I guess, see kind of what the town looks like, where the sell points are, all the standard stuff with all the maps. But I do like checking out the textures and the extra crops that maps add. I just find that pretty cool. Farming Simulator only has, what, like 14 crops, and maps can just add crops where they want to, so I think that's pretty cool. when maps add crops, I just want to see them, and hopefully you guys want to see it too. Otherwise, I'm just babbling on about plants for no reason. Okay, I'm gonna get this planted up. No need to talk the whole time through it, so I'll just time lapse it pretty quick. Alright, I'm going to hire that on a worker, and something I did think about while I was doing that is I want to sort of see what the difference is between broad beans and soybeans, as well as the difference between rye and oats, because they are quite similar crops. Let's see, I need to turn this way. So I figured I'll use my tiny little seeder to seed a little strip of soybeans near the broad bean field, as well as a little strip of oats right near the field of rye. Here's the field of rye that I planted, field 52. So I figure maybe just put a little strip like right here on this field 53, and then closer towards the broad beans I just planted, we'll put some soybeans as well. These little sheds look pretty nice. Not very good at fitting a lot of stuff in there, but yeah, not terrible. Okay, that's annoying. I do not like it when the map makers don't pre-fill my seeders. I know, call me lazy. I don't really like doing that though. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to unhire. Of course, it's too far away. We're going to refill this seeder with the seeds on the floor. And we'll just leave one bag for the other seeder, because I don't want to drive that tractor all the way to the shop. Alright, there we go. Hired back on a worker. Now we can go fill this thing up, and we're going to do soybeans first. Won't quite use the whole bag, but that's okay. Don't have to, because it's not in the way of the seeder. Alright, I do want to leave a bit of a gap just in case they look really similar. I want it to be obvious where the soybeans start and end. Oops, and where the broad beans start and end. Just leave a little strip there. I may do 2 passes, I'm not sure yet. probably, since it's so narrow. I want to have a good representation of what the soybeans look like. Stop it right there. Again, I just want a clear border around both of the crops so I can know where they start and end, so I don't get them confused, just in case they look really similar. I don't know if they will. Again, I haven't ever seen this texture. But and I may do oats and barley, maybe even canola too, just to get a few different cereal grains so we can tell what they look like. It looks like rye looks closest towards wheat and barley, so we'll try those out first. Wheat. I'll probably just do one strip of each of these, just since I'm comparing several different ones. I don't want to run out of room. Just flip it to barley and come around to another pass. Oops. Oh well. I accidentally planted some barley in the soybeans, but they're going to look vastly different, so it won't be too hard to tell them apart. Not a big deal. Let's plant oats next. And I would say canola is probably too different to be planted next to these guys. Canola is the only one that flowers out of all of them, so gonna just forget about the canola. A little hard to see where I've planted on this texture with the trees in the way. No big deal though. Alright, very good. Alright, that is actually going to annoy me, so I'll fix this one. This little triangle cut out. I'm not planning on continuing to play on this particular map. This save game, sorry. I would play on the map. We'll see how things look. It's not wowed me in any way, but it's a pretty solid map, so I would be down to play on it, but I'm not playing on this particular save game, so I don't really care if the corners of the fields aren't done. That one would just have annoyed me, so I hope none of you are too mad about me missing that little bit in the corners of all the fields, but I'm gonna have to say too bad, because I'm not doing it. Alright, that worker's taking too long, so I'm just gonna do it. And then we'll be going to sleep, and we'll just sleep, wake up, come out here, check how they look. I want to compare every growth stage of the crops, the various crops with each other, as well as how long it takes for them to grow fully. I think that will be quite interesting. At least to me. If none of you care, then so be it. I want to check on the map. It's probably going to be a little hard to see right here. I want to see what the biggest field you could make would be, because you could combine all of these fields together. That would be pretty big. All of these would probably be the biggest you're going to get. But down here, you could get a bunch of this stuff into fields. That would be interesting to see which, like, the biggest assortment of fields that you can combine, how big the field gets. I think that could make for an interesting video. Might have to do that one. Let's push the seed box out of the way. Hopefully it doesn't flip my tractor or anything weird. Yep, it's just going to push right out of the way. Nice. It's still a little bit on the field, but that doesn't matter. Alright, I'm going to be lazy and leave my tractor out because I don't really care that much. Okay, let's hop in the house and take a sleep. That's funny. The slammed door. Man, this takes a while, doesn't it? Okay. Alright, let's go have a look. Let's compare the two. Wow, they look identical. I was not expecting that. Soybeans right here. This is the base game crop. Broad beans right here. Oh, shoot, I meant to turn off weeds. Dang it. It's not a super big deal, but now there's tiny little weeds growing in the field, as you can see there. But yeah, those are identical textures. Interesting. Here is oats. Looks pretty much like grass. We got barley and wheat look identical in the first growth stage. Sort of a deeper green than this oats over here, and then yeah, that's the same texture as well. So the textures have been copied. We'll see, at least for the first growth stage, we'll see what the final product looks like. But I am a little disappointed. Maybe for nothing. We'll see what the other growth stages look like, but yeah. Because even for the base game, the wheat and barley textures are identical for the first growth stage, so that's not too big of a deal. I'm alright with that. But we'll see. Hopefully they don't just copy the whole way through, because that would get... I would feel a little cheated. You give me a new crop type and it doesn't... Whoa. It's dark. Let's pass some time real quick. Can't even see anything. I would feel a little bit cheated if it says I get a new crop and I don't. It's just the same crop with a different name. Even down to the color of the roots, that's the exact same texture. Here you see the oats, a little bit taller grass. Wheat and barley and rye are still all the same, so... I mean, we could give it a minute to let this stuff update, but... No, because these all grew, so it already updated, so... Looks like after... Day 2, we're still on growth stage 1 for wheat, barley, and oat and rye. But growth stage 2 for soybean and broad bean. Let's check day 3. Hopefully this doesn't get too tedious. And there is the possibility, oh my gosh, it gets dark. I'm going to have to sleep until 9 a.m. Yeah, shed's looking pretty cool. I don't know why it's there, but it's there. Let's have us a gander at these fields. Alright, here's where we start to see some differences. Hopefully. No, these are still the same texture. The oats, quite a bit taller. They're starting to get their heads on there. Wheat and barley are just a slightly taller, a little darker color. Has that grown a bit more? It has. So the rye has grown taller, so therefore faster than the wheat and barley, at least to growth stage 3. Oh. Got some weird twitching there. I'm not sure if the camera's picking that up. It's probably because I've got the time on 360. Yeah, the lighting is just not very good in the winter. That's, like, it's hard to see. And it's almost 2 p.m. in the afternoon, so definitely should be able to see. We just can't. Alright, we're gonna real quick, if I don't get stuck on the door, check the next day, and I'll just jump cut to each of the respective days and growth stages. So here we are in December, which is month 4. As you can see, the oats are already ready to harvest. Already ready. Barley started to get their little heads on it. It's gotten taller. Wheat still stuck in growth stage 2. And then the rye that I accidentally planted in this field, as you can see, quite a bit taller. It's also getting its heads, but it's a different texture right now than barley is, which is good. Unfortunately, soybean and broad beans look the exact same. So even after 4 months, 4 different growth stages, still looking the same. Let's check next month. It snowed, which is unfortunately messing with the textures. We'll see if the snow will melt eventually as it gets sunnier. Yeah, I think it's just a typical snow texture, nothing special. Should probably check and see what the barn looks like and stuff. Looks pretty good. Nothing overly special, but certainly not a bad texture either. I'm guessing they just use the base game stuff, but I think map makers have to... Oh, missed a spot. I think map makers, especially with like custom mod houses, they have to like paint on the snow texture to see what it looks like. I'm not sure. But yeah, that is not terrible. Maybe I'll take the thumbnail. Boop. Okay. I'm not sure if the snow's going to clear or not, but we can just take a look at it. Soybean and broad bean, are they the same? I think they're the same still. Oat still ready to harvest. The wheat has grown a little bit, and it's starting to get those little heads at the top, the kernels. And barley is still in that same growth stage, whereas the rye looks to be the same as well. So, on to the next month. Unfortunately, it snowed again last night, so the crops are still covered, but everything except the wheat is ready to harvest now, which is surprising that the soybeans grow faster than wheat, but yeah, as you can see, they are the exact same texture, which is an L, in my opinion. Do not like that at all. Rye's actually pretty tall compared to oat and wheat and barley. The texture is quite similar to wheat and barley, at least what they'll look like when they're harvested. Again, there's snow all over these, so not quite the best representation, but I would like to harvest all of them to see what they look like. Anyways, next month. And while there is still snow on the ground, it's not on the crops anymore, so we can see what they look like. Again, soybean and broad bean, the exact same ground texture. Maybe a little different. I can't tell for sure, but yeah, that is unfortunate. We'll check the prices to see if they're the same. But yeah, I don't even know what the point of adding broad beans was. It doesn't do anything. It's the exact same as soybean. Let's see. Let's just check the prices right now. So soybeans, minimum of about 1,700, high of 3,300. Scroll all the way down to broad bean. Yeah, low of 1,100, high of 1,700. So not sure why that was added, but anyways, we've got barley and wheat. So I would say the rye looks more like barley. Just a little taller. Maybe with a little darker color. But yeah, that does not look terrible at all. Let's hop in the harvester. Am I going to be able to get this header trailer out of here? That would be a good thing to know for the map. Okay. Now I hope you can just slide the door in and then slide the other door as well. Yep, okay, good. Crisis averted. I was worried I wouldn't be able to get my header trailer out. Therefore, none of you would be able to get your header trailers out. Back it up. Ooh, I didn't think about this. I'm gonna have to dump the grain just on the floor is fine. Let's unfold the combine, get her whipped around, get the head on there. I just want to see what they look like in a trailer, I guess. I'm going to have to go get a trailer. And what the harvested texture looks like on the floor or the ground. And I am going to turn on straw swath to see if rye can drop a straw swath. Oops. Come on now, I got stuck on a tiny little birch tree. Alright, this is not very maneuverable. Let's do the oats first, because there's the biggest gap between them. Most of us should know what these textures look like, but anyways, I will do it again because I can. So after that little strip, we have 236 liters. Oh, I should probably... This is going to be really ugly, I'm sorry. Just going to have tiny little piles of grain in my field. Oh, shoot, I just harvested the broad beans. I am falling apart, aren't I? Here we've got barley. Oop, I want to drop the straw swath. I told it to, but I don't know. Oh, it probably changed when I harvested the beans. Very similar textures of wheat. Or straw, rather, sorry. I always do that. We'll drop this on the floor here. So as you can see, I mean I did just drop it in the grass, but barley is a darker kernel, whereas oats and soybean, the broad beans, sorry, are actually a lighter. I'm going to put her down shortly after the rye that I planted on accident. There's the wheat. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, all the straw textures are the exact same for these three, so. Wheat is in between barley and oat. You can see there's wheat. A light golden kernel. Oats is a pale white kernel. And the broad bean texture is a ball, just like the regular soybean, but it looks a lot lighter. Let me check what actual soybeans look like. I just have these little patches of harvested crop. So here's soybeans. We're going to see what that actually looks like. Again, this doesn't drop a swath, so it's going to put out the... It's just going to fling the stalks out to the side. So we'll try and see what the yield is. I won't get an exact number, but we'll get pretty close. 65 liters there of soybeans for that little almost fully paths. Let's see what it looks like on the floor. Okay, so that's probably the same texture. Yep, the same texture as well. Let's get this lined up. I know I planted a whole field. I don't know why. That probably wasn't the best idea. And let's just do this. Wow, we're already, yeah, so the yield is way higher. We only had 65 liters of soybeans. We're going to end up with probably around 300 liters. Yeah, we'll just stop it there because there is a little triangle. Yeah, so 300 liters. So I'm not sure what the price would be. What the difference in price would be. I can do the math. 65 to 300 is about 5 times. Not quite 5. The price for broad beans is not near 5 times as low as soybeans. So broad bean actually pays a whole lot better, it looks like, because we got almost 5 times as much yield. So if you're selling her at the top price, call it 1,800 times 5 versus 3,300 times 1. Let me just do 1,800 times 5 on my calculator because I'm not going to do that in my head. Yeah, $9,000 versus $3,300. So you're getting almost 3 times the payout, but you're going to have to cart 5 times as much. Don't quote me on that. That could be slightly inaccurate, but I think I did a decent job with that. Just dump out the soybeans. Let's turn on straw swath again. Make sure straw swath is on. Whoop. Yep, it's on. Okay. And we'll see what this looks like. It looks like it's the same texture. In the cab, it looks just fine. There's nothing weird or buggy about the texture. Oopsies. Yeah, that looks pretty solid. It is doing that one thing it does, though. Let's see if I can point it out. The snouts here on the end, for most crops, it automatically decides whether it's knives for canola or a little divider for the other grain crops. Usually with modded crop types for maps, they just don't have anything on them, because it automatically switches between for which crop it does. And so the crop divider there on the end, it's just not there, which I do find annoying. Edgewater, Saskatchewan, which is really well done, has the same issue, so I don't know if there's a workaround or if it's just the way things are. But yeah, the textures, don't like broad beans. Maybe they look the exact same as soybeans, I don't know, like in real life, but it's a little frustrating to have the same exact texture and call it a new crop. The rye one looks better. It's different than wheat and than any other crop in the game, actually. Different than wheat, oats, and barley. So that's not terrible. It does look very similar to barley, but rye and barley are similar in real life. So are wheat and oat. All of them make bread and are used for flour and whatnot. So I like that texture. Nothing special about it, but it is a lot better than the broad bean texture. It's quite tall too, which is interesting because you can see it compared to the wheat. It stands maybe a foot taller than the wheat. Anyways, let's have a look-see at around town. I'm probably not going to drive. Let's just teleport. Got an electronic charging station. That's a nice touch. Yeah, in the supermarket we have that around where I live too. Some supermarkets have a couple of charging stations in the back corner, so that their customers can charge their cars. That is pretty sweet. Oh, wow. That's really cool. I've seen, this is just obviously like a sticker or something on the wall, but it has depth to it. So it moves a little bit. That's kind of trippy. I'm not sure how well it's going to come across on YouTube, but most of them just have a 2-dimensional sticker just pasted on the doors, but it looks like there's a bit of a gap here. And so it is giving off the illusion that there is some depth there, even though it's just a sticker. Interesting. This looks like a pretty typical Finnish town from what I've seen in Farming Simulator anyways. I've never been to Finland, but This is about on par with the maps. Pretty wide streets. Wow. My goodness. Just about killed me. Some nice parking garages. Ooh, what is this? Looks like we've got a cafe, a Sampo Bistro, and a restaurant Ruiz. Not sure if I pronounced any of those correctly. Well, there goes a deer through the walls. So it looks like there are a few places you can dump in town. Let's see what kind of production chains start on the map. So we've got a bakery, a carpentry, a dairy. So very base, like entry-level production chains. We have a firewood processor. That is the new one. Spinnery. We've got biogas plant, the big one, the 500 kilowatts. Is that the big one? Now that I said that, I'm doubting myself. Production. Factories, okay. Yeah, that is the big one. Okay, I thought so. I just doubted myself for no reason. So we have the big biogas plant. That is probably a couple of million to buy. We've got another sawmill. Or no, there's a carpentry over here, wasn't it? Yeah, so we have a sawmill, then a carpentry. We have a grain mill, then a bakery. And what was the third one? A dairy. The dairy has the bakery. So, yeah. Not a ton. If you're doing wool, like sheep, you're only going to have the spinnery. That's not down here, is it? It's up here. No, it was down here. No, it was over here. Yep. If you're doing wool, you'll just have the spinnery. You won't have the fabric store. I forget what that's called, and or the tailor, the clothes. Man, what are those called? Tailor shop. So we have a spinnery which makes fabric from wool, and the fabric needs a tailor shop to make clothes. Okay. So I was completely adding in another step in there. There's no grapes, anything, because it's Finland. They may have vineyards around. I'm not sure. It's pretty cold up there, so I would probably say they don't really do that much. Let's see what the firewood processor does. So it takes just wood and makes firewood. They also have a potato grating plant, which takes potatoes and makes potatoes washed. That is quite large. My goodness. It's as big as the apartment buildings around. Let's see how big the firewood processor is. Yep, just a tiny little thing. So if you wanted to do like a survival, like starting with nothing except a chainsaw and this little firewood processor, that would be an interesting way to play on the map. I am going to go and take a look at the firewood processor. How much is it to buy? 40,000 for this tiny little thing? My goodness. Looks like you just dump the wood somewhere around here and then press the thing and it'll load it up by itself and make it into the firewood, which you can collect there, I would assume. Anyways, that's everything from the map, so I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned some things from it, because that's why I do these things. I do the first looks so that you guys don't have to download the map if you don't want to. You can see everything you need to comfortably from your computer or phone screen. Man, that doesn't yield very good. We've done about half the field and haven't even filled her up all the way. Anyways, that's all for me for now. I'll see you again next time. Peace.